Hi all. Right, front clip. We took the splash mould off of the outside of the finished shape of what the headlamp cover was going to be like. So basically, before we cut this out, we took just a it's about a 7-layer mould, nothing particularly too flashy. Basically, now this is the shape of the outside of where the bodywork was. So basically, we're in the perspex, probably like a cell cast acrylic or something, which is UV stable, by the way, which is where I use cell cast and not Lexan. We'll use that in in those, and then we'll have a perfect outer shape of the car, perfect outer shape of the headlamp. So we took that splash mold, which then allowed us to mark out the headlamp area. I revised it again slightly, just to give me a little bit more girth in this direction. The headlamps that I want to use have basically got like a horizontal pattern for the, is it for the low beam or for the high beam? It's both, sorry, that's right, they're both like a horizontal pattern for the high and low beam, so they're more, they're longer that way than they are this way. They're very short, that's the good thing. So vertically they're very short, so I can actually mount them slightly further up. We've also obviously the articulation of the wheel, due to the fact that we have a lot less scrub radius. Our scrub radius on this is less than 30 millimeters. The wheel doesn't articulate forward so much, it actually pivots on its virtually on its own center. So one issue with the round sort of 90 millimeter hellers, especially the LED ones, they're longer and they get in the way of the headlamp. You get in the way of the tire almost. So having a very short headlamp in this respect and having the scrub radius gives us the ability to move the headlamp up just a little bit and further back. Clearance to the center of the lamp to the ground is only 500 millimeters in Europe. For some strange reason over here in Canada it's 550 millimeters. Don't ask me why. Why, Clive? I've no idea. Anyway, so yes, we've just added a little bit of girth to this side, but I can actually bring the light unit up. The intention, like the original headlamp that I made, we'll do a line that comes basically up and round here for the what was going to be just the indicators, but now you can actually get dual white and orange sequential if you want, LED strips. We're going to mount them in there, basically use that as the thing. And there's also a lot brighter ones there than when I used my first incarnation. So so yeah, so we took the mold out of here. But from that mold, we made these panels here to make sure that panel was kind of offset in the shape that was there. We filled those molds with 3mm sheet wax. Once the molds are full of sheet wax, we then took this as a splash out of the headlamp molds, and now this is what I've put into the back of the body. Obviously, we now have the clear perspex cover is 1/8 of an inch, so it's about 3.1 mil. I've made sure I've got at least 5mm offset between this panel and there. So basically the headlamp cover plus a little bit of mastic glue, we can have it nice and flush everywhere. So basically the perspex will just be a complete seamless integration, I hope. But yeah, obviously same on this side as well. This is the first panel I gel coated and sanded. I think I've maybe made a slight mistake, because it's exactly how I made the gel coat go off. This is unwaxed gel coat, which is I was going to put multiple layers on, so I didn't want waxed. I didn't PVA the gel coat on top until the next day. I think I should have put PVA on it as soon as I did it. Basically, gel coat doesn't go off if it's getting close to oxygen. So on the bottom of the mold, or basically in a mold, so it's sandwiched between the mold face and the fiberglass. Doesn't matter, the oxygen disappears, therefore it goes off. Because we're spraying it from the outside and then sanding down, if you spray a layer of PVA, which obviously just washes off with water, spray a layer of PVA on it, then basically the gel coat then goes off on the outside. Very good tip by my fiberglass guru, Mike. Unfortunately, I think I didn't do it straight away. I did it the next day. Bit of a mistake, because it's galling up the 220 grit sandpaper that I'm using, and it's making sort of marks. So I'm going through a lot of sandpaper, which, whatever, an extra $20 for a learning curve. But yeah, it should last a bit longer than a couple of minutes. So yeah, this is the black. This is like a powder you put on as a guide coat, and then you sand through that. So yeah, I'm going through it. Quite a few places. You can see where the 80 grit marks are still in the basically in the body itself. So I've actually sanded all the way through to get rid of them. There are still a few little pinprick holes here. Basically where there was bare fiberglass, so it was like this, so it's like just yellow, and we need to get rid of those. So the first layer was always going to be sanded down as sacrificial. Plus I had to do this, so I knew I was going to end up having to spray that anyway. So that's the front clip. We took the body completely off now, so side seals need to be ready for moulding. So lots of little final jobs underneath surface here. We obviously modified this area here, and now it's flat. So basically we just need to finish filling that area and the underneath. Where the fiberglass was moulded off of parcel tape. The parcel tape didn't like sticking to plywood too much, so it crinkled up. So you've got this sort of horrible crinkle finish, so we'll just fill over that as well, just a small skim and sand, pretty quick. You can see it's got this kind of sharp edge to that big round curve. We've got to do the same thing here. So basically go from a round curve to a sharp edge. So we have the feature we dropped into here, basically to make this less straight, basically to give it a bit of a curve here and a curve here. So we're still playing with that, but it's not too much alterations now. We're just basically filling to correct. Yeah, and then the last fun job for these, well, we have a gaping hole here which we don't want in the mold, and similar to here, you know, we need to fill in the holes there, we need to fill in the holes here. Same thing, we need to fill in here. This top part here, obviously just a side shell, is unrealistic to mould, so we don't need any taller here, as it turns out. The intercooler is going to be like the 9 inches we've got here. I think we're about 8.5, so we can basically put a release angle. We need to plate here, and we need to seal this area in, and basically put a return plate on the back there. So this becomes like just a buck or a hole. So we need to do that on both. Probably the biggest change on those. But it's just basically for moulding purposes, you know, the outside shape is where we want it. So that's those. Rear clip. Obviously, yes, spare car again. Rear clip is off. It's about as far as I want to go at the moment. Once I've got it up on, the sawhorses inside the shop, then I will go through and just try and find a few more of those pinholes and fill them with putty before I actually spray it with gel. That might be a little bit more advantageous this time, instead of just spraying straight with gel and sanding back. It's like I say, especially in areas where we've gone through right to the actual fiberglass itself. That might be an advantage. So yeah, that one's really probably only half a day away from gel coat spraying. So yes, lots of sanding, way too much sanding. All the materials from Easy Composites, including a roll of carbon fibre, which we're going to use to make obviously the flat side splitters. Why was that difficult to say? God knows. And basically though, so this is the buck for the front splitter. We can now look at doing those. Now we've got most of the materials, other than the resin, the infusion resin. You can't ship that over them. You can't ship that across the pond unless you put it on a boat. They won't fly that stuff. Nor the Easy Lease, which is a real shame, because that was a really nice chemical product. So we've got to find some equivalent to that over here. But yes, you can see a little bit more detail of the diffuser here. We are kind of pretty close to the exhaust, but far enough away. This should sit about there. But yeah, you can see the dry sump and everything else is pretty close. You can see that one awkward fitting there. We've got to orientate that. That's the return suction from the turbos. Last thing, obviously we were still playing with opening up the ducts in the doors for the cabin exit air. Yes, anyway, that's my kind of few days. We're starting to recommission the mill. It is run by an old PC. We have changed the position of the coolant tank now. I have room behind the mill, which I never had before. So we've moved the coolant put from the outside, from the inside to outside. It basically makes cleaning all the swarf out of the damn thing. If it clogs up, a lot easier. Plus we've got a bit more capacity. All guards back on. We've got to hang some more of the plastic door separators here but we're pretty close now to booting it up. Instead of having a 17-inch monitor, I'm going to put because we've got quite a few spare large screens. I found one of the screens that's 40 inches, and I'm just going to hang that from the ceiling because it has an SVGA port. So I shall hang that from the ceiling so I can walk underneath it and it doesn't get in the way, and then I'll just control this basically from a wireless keyboard and mouse instead of having to have a desk at the side of it like I previously did. But yep, the old girl is nearly back to running. The lathe's been running for a little while. I have got to play with the cooler system with that, but that's playing. So yes, Miller recommissioned. So this obviously needed 110 volt, 220, and air fed to it. But yeah, good to get the Miller back up. There's a few little projects, probably not to do straight away, but I've got a little job to do for a friend of mine for a steering wheel, which we need the mill for, so we need to get it up and running again. So yes, anyway, I shall hang off. 11 minutes. Yeah. So much for a 6-minute video again. Speak to you all soon. Oh yeah, one last thing. Good luck to Cody Loveland. Wow, Jesus, say that wrong. Good luck to Cody and the team at Pikes Peak. I'm rooting for you, buddy. Let's try and get in the top 3. You never know, you might get a full win, which would be just awesome. So good luck to Cody and to and the American Stig, who'll be driving. So yeah, I'm rooting for you, boys. Speak to you later. Bye.